So with next week's episode of The Flash, episode 7, O Come All Ye Faithful, we're going to get another flashback episode, just like last season with DeVoe, but with Cicada. We're finally going to know exactly what went on with Cicada and his origin. And it looks like not only are we getting Weather Wizard back for an episode, but we're also getting his daughter, Weather Witch. Let's talk about next week's episode and the trailer. How's it going, speedsters? Welcome back to another trailer breakdown for The Flash. Now, this is for next week's episode, episode 7, titled O Come All Ye Faithful. But anyway, guys, I'm going to show you guys the trailer, and then let's get into the specifics of it, because there's a lot to talk about in terms of what next week's episode teases us with.
I know we didn't get off to the greatest start, but I want to fix all that. I want to keep you safe and fed. Give you all the things a kid should have.
All of you will die.
And the synopsis for this episode is as follows. Thanksgiving. While Nora grapples with unresolved anger over her father's disappearance in the future, Barry and Team Flash must stop a powerful new meta, Weather Witch, from killing her own father, Weather Wizard. Now, there is a bunch of promo photos that I will be showing alongside the trailer images in this video, which give us even more glimpses at the Cicada origin flashback. But the first shot that I want to talk about in the trailer is obviously the shot of Nora on the balcony of S.T.A.R Labs near the lounge, and we see Barry approaching from the background. Now, obviously, Nora is having such a great time with her father in the present at the minute, because she never got to know him growing up. Sure, she was born, as she said in her own words in episode 1, a few years before he went missing, but she has no memories of him. And you wouldn't when you're like 2 or 3 years old anyway, which is how old she must have been before he went missing. So I guess Iris gets pregnant around in 2021, 22 at the latest. She still has to face the fact that she is gonna eventually return to her own timeline. And as we learned from episode 1, when we got that whole "my name is Nora Allen and I'm going to try and stop my dad from disappearing in the future" kind of thing, well, it looks like that still hasn't happened yet. She hasn't, accomplished keeping her father alive and not going missing in crisis in 2024. And as I just said, she's going to go to a future without her father, which is, something she doesn't want to have to deal with. Now, in this episode as well, and what you can see from the promo photos, is that Barry and Nora team up to stop Weather Witch. And now Weather Witch is going to try and kill her own father for reasons we have absolutely no idea about, and it's unclear as to how Weather Witch actually got her powers, because obviously Weather Wizard had his powers from the Particle Accelerator, and the synopsis does state that she is a metahuman, so I don't think that she is using meta tech. Otherwise they would have stated that perhaps in the synopsis and not called her a powerful new meta. But I'm really looking forward to seeing the specific origin or way we find out how Weather Witch has the exact same powers as her father. I know some of you guys are probably going to say, but her father's Weather Wizard, so it makes sense. But yeah, but specifically I'm looking forward to seeing how she even got her meta abilities, because if you remember back to season 1, Weather Witch, or his family relative and daughter wasn't a part of that origin story for him. So unless she got affected by the Particle Accelerator in a weathery kind of event that gave her the same abilities, I don't know. Either way, I'm looking forward to this one. I mean, maybe you'd have to think that it's perhaps somewhat recent. Maybe it does have something to do with the satellite, and maybe she has some dark matter in her because of the satellite in a similar way to Cicada, right? Because he has that piece near his shoulder. If she's trying to kill her father, why wait until now if you've had powers for a long, long time? And he's in like this lockup with Ragdoll and everything, and this is what's teasing the new rogues and everything like that. And with the latest episode of Icicle, escaping Central City, only to probably return another day. Will Weather Witch trying to break her father out, as you can see in these promo photos, result in an unwanted prison escape at the same time for even more metas? Because what you have to think about here is that, yeah, she probably won't succeed in killing Weather Wizard right there and then with Nora and Barry right there. But whatever she's going to do with that kind of weather wand that she's got there, just like the one her father had, might, summon this storm or lightning bolt, which could, fry all the circuits and open all the prisoner doors, and then that might create some kind of escape. But at the same time, that would be pretty disastrous if people like Ragdoll, who only just got put away, and Weather Wizard and other people just got out. Now, other way with the Weather Witch / Weather Wizard storyline, what this trailer shows is that we see Barry hobbling along, and Nora comes rushing in full of speed force. That looks like it leads to the scene scene with Barry in Nora's arms, and Nora's obviously freaking out because she's worried probably that her father's going to die, but spoiler alert, he's fine. We've still got the rest of the season to go. We've got the mid-season finale coming after this episode where Nora and Barry have to travel back in time to stop Cicada. That's the synopsis for that episode, but that's a whole different other video. But either way, he's going to be fine. Now, what I think is possibly happening here, I could be completely wrong, so I'd love to know your theories on what I've just said what I'm about to say. When we see Barry hobbling along, and just before Nora grabs him and saves him, we see a lightning bolt hit the ground. Now, I'm thinking that Barry is quite possibly, with that device we see on the floor as well, next to Barry and Nora, is kind of using it as like a lightning rod to take away the lightning bolts away from citizens or places that it could hit and hurt other people. But he's maybe been hit with one or two of the bolts, and as we just see there, Nora just saves Barry from getting hit by yet possibly another one, just in time as we see it there strike the ground. I mean, that device could of course be something else, so I'd love to know your thoughts on that, but I'm thinking it has something to do with Barry using it as a distraction for Weather Witch or Weather Wizard, whoever is sending out these lightning bolts in this episode. Now let's move on to the Cicada stuff, because there's a bunch of stuff to talk about here. This trailer gives us a very little tease of the origin story of the night of the satellite incident where Cicada's supposed daughter gets hit by the satellite, I'm guessing, or like a fragment or some kind of explosion that puts her into a coma. Obviously, Cicada himself, Chris Klein, gets part of the satellite in his shoulder, and that's what gives him the metahuman abilities that he has in the present day. Now, if there's one thing that we learned from the end of last episode, is that it was majorly hinting that this girl isn't Chris Klein / Cicada's actual daughter. It's quite possible that he's a family relative, and on that night her family died and he's just been trying to look after her. But I think the more likely option is because of what we see in these flashback scenes and in the promo photos that are most likely set before the satellite incident, since, you know, the satellite incident is the thing that put Grace in the coma and currently in the hospital. So these photos being set before, and obviously an origin leading up to the night of the satellite incident, probably being the penultimate kind of thing in this episode to happen and thus create the Cicada origin. I'm thinking that perhaps Grace's parents have passed away obviously before the night of the satellite incident. Now, whether Cicada is actually related to Grace, whether Grace's parents are Cicada's brother or sister and they passed away for whatever reason and he's fostered / adopted her in the meantime. Either way, from there on out, we're going to see Cicada and Grace, you know, probably not get on the greatest, because we even hear Cicada himself saying, I know we started off with a rough start, blah, blah, blah. I just want to give you all the things that a kid should have. And we see that doll house that he's been making for her in his house. Regardless, we're going to see a lot of scenes of Grace and Cicada before the satellite incident that ended up putting her in a coma and what ended up giving him his powers, and the context and foundation of their relationship, whether he's related to her or whether he just adopted her because he just wanted a family of his own. But either way, it ended up in a tragedy anyway, because it, you know, as we know, leads up to the satellite incident that puts her in a coma, gives him these powers, and, you know, it gives him this fuel to kill all metahumans because that's who he blames it on. As teased in the trailer, we see like the origin for the dagger and how it probably was, you know, impaled in Cicada or something like that, and a little bit of it is still in him, and that's what's giving him his abilities. I think this episode's going to probably do a fantastic job, just like they did last season with the DeVoe flashback origin episode, in probably humanizing Cicada instead of just him being this evil big bad in the present day. We're going to see him really try and look after this young girl who probably doesn't appreciate what he's doing for her, and then maybe just as they're getting on one day and they're out in Central City, and, you know, it looks like their relationship is getting on since he's like adopted her, always taking over looking after her from her parents who may have passed away. Whatever origin you guys think that might be in this episode, that's when the tragedy of the satellite will happen, and, you know, we see how destroyed Cicada is here. You know, it looks like Chris Klein's acting is going to be on point. We're going to see what really forged the man from, you know, complete tragedy to complete anger and blame it all on the metahumans on Central City. And that's when we hear in the trailer as well, towards the very end, when Nora's holding Barry, all of you are going to die. I've already seen some comments out there that that voice is supposedly Zoom or Savitar. That is seriously not the case, guys. That is Cicada's voice with his mask on. If you're thinking of Zoom and Savitar or anything like other speedster related returning, that is the following episode when Barry and Nora travel back in time. and there's going to be Zoom confirmed returning from Tony Todd, the guy who voices Zoom himself, and he said that other speedsters would be returning as well. Hence why I think people are thinking that maybe Zoom or Savitar or Reverse Flash, with that voice at the end that Cicada is saying, "You're all gonna die," is potentially one of them, when it's not. Either way, guys, I am super hyped for this episode. I just can't wait to see more behind the mask of Cicada. I want to see what Chris Klein can offer in terms of his acting skills. I think he's done a great job so far, but as I keep saying, it's going to humanize him, it's going to make us feel sorry for him, it's not going to just make a villain for villain's sake. Even though, you know, you shouldn't turn to the lengths that Cicada has gone to become a villain, at least we're going to understand what broke this man. And most of all, guys, what we know about episode 8, the mid-season finale, the 100th episode that Tom Cavanaugh is directing, we're going to get answers as teased by that synopsis that he's going to go to Iris with his suspicions about Nora. Now, so what I'm thinking is that we might get some more further clues this episode that might lead up to the following episode, you know, with Sherloque confronting, or not confronting, but going to Iris about his concerns about Nora. Does that mean we're going to get a few shady moments with Nora in this episode, you know, insinuating what Sherloque picked up on way back in episode 1 and is going to even go to Iris about in the next episode? I'm really hoping we do, and it sets up what Sherloque is going to do in the next episode, because I just love and am intrigued as to what the heck Nora is hiding still from Team Flash. Now, I definitely think that Nora is Barry and Iris' daughter. I don't think she's mega evil. I think if she is working with someone even like the Reverse Flash in the future, it's unbeknownst to her. She's being manipulated. But either way, it's going to be super duper interesting. And the fact that it's going to be a big twist in the episode after this, I'm really hoping they set up some stuff for the 100th episode in this episode. Other than that, guys, let me know what you thought of this trailer down in the comments below. The promo photos, everything I had to say. Do you agree with anything I said, or do you have anything to expand on what I said? Just let me know. I do read every comment. I might not be able to get back to every comment, but I do read all of your thoughts. Be sure to subscribe to this channel if you want to stay up to date with more Flash videos just like this. Of course, like the video, especially if you got this far. It only takes a couple of seconds of your time, and it really helps this video out. Of course, links, as always, are in the description down below to social media, to my Discord server if you haven't joined that already, my merch, and my Patreon in case you want to support the channel further. But thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you speedsters in the next video. Goodbye.